Top 10 must-draft wide receivers for fantasy football. Let's dive in. Before we get to this action and telling you about all these great pass catchers, picking your fantasy team this time of year is more difficult than it should be. But picking your beer isn't. Miller Lite is the one you need to go to. More taste, and it's only 96 calories. When it's football time, baby, it is Miller time. Why? Because beer makes football better. Simple. Not only does Miller Lite have more taste than all of those other guys, it only has 96 calories. Every good football fantasy draft needs 3 things. 1, player research, which you're doing here. Number 2, friends, we all got them. 3, ice cold Miller Lites. Pick them up today and enjoy your fantasy drafts. Let's get to these wide receivers. All right, the first wide receiver we got to discuss here, making this list, is Isaiah McKenzie, coming in number 10. The starting slot wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills right now, per all the beat reports coming out of camp. This guy is being slept on. He is a must-grab in your drafts over the last 3 seasons, when Cole Beasley has been that guy, wide receiver 38, wide receiver 31, and wide receiver 40 in fantasy points per game. This is nowhere close to where McKenzie is being drafted right now. Jamison Crowder is supposedly just a depth piece per all the reports, and McKenzie, when he has had chances in this offense, has flashed big time upside. Cole Beasley also commanded a 19.3% target share, 20% and 23.4% over the last 3 seasons. Isaiah McKenzie can explode in this high-powered offense. Don't leave your drafts without him. Moving over to number 9. Wandel Robinson, super talented player coming out of Kentucky. He was the 5th highest graded wide receiver in college per PFF, 10th in YAC, 4th in yards per route run. He might not be tall, but the production metrics do stand up tall with Wandel Robinson. 99th percentile collegiate target share and 95th percentile breakout age. Don't dismiss the fact that Wandel Robinson can lead this team in targets. He is going way too late in drafts, and you need to be scooping up this value. Number 8, Jalen Tolbert, who has been airdropped into one of the best offenses in the NFL. Going to be top 10 in pace, top 10 in scoring. And Jalen Tolbert is a guy that, I get it. He did not go in the early rounds of drafts. He did not go in the first or second round. He comes from a small school, and people are kind of put off by all this. But Tolbert did exactly what you wanted him to do at a small school. He crushed. Over the last 2 years, 7th and 6th amongst all FBS wide receivers in receiving yards, 32nd and 12th in yards per route run. And man, he checks the boxes as far as collegiate production. 96th percentile college dominator and target share at South Alabama. The other part about this is we do not know when Michael Gallup is going to return to the NFL field. And for much of his career, he's been just a guy. And not shading Gallup like the talent, but if we're looking at his production of last 4 seasons, he's been 64th, 69th, 10th, yes, the breakout season, and 59th in yards per route run. So while we might like Michael Gallup, the player, enjoy the production and fantasy in previous seasons, DFS, he has not been efficient with his routes. Jalen Tolbert can grab the 3rd spot in this target tree and surprise a lot of people in fantasy this year. So you need to be scooping him up. He makes this list, and I want to be higher than consensus on a lot of these rookies coming out. Number 7, Julio Jones. I'm just going to get this out of the way. He is not washed. I understand that we could have some health concerns, which is fine, but that's baked into where he's going in drafts right now. You're not going to have to give up a high pick. He is going to be in one of the best offenses in the NFL, catching passes from Tom Brady. And Julio Jones, in the 11 games he played last year, 6 of which we're assuming that was the healthiest he was last year. 6 games, he played 60% or higher snaps. In those games, 2.18 yards per route run, 78 flat PFF receiving grade. Why do those things matter? Because if you were to stack that up against all wide receivers with 35 or more targets last year, his yards per route run would have been tied for 10th with T. Higgins, and his PFF receiving grade would have been tied for 23rd, right ahead of Terry McLaurin. So Julio Jones, while he might be a little bit more long in the tooth, he's going to a fantastic offense. If health complies, he still does have the talent to be extremely productive for us in fantasy this year. Number 6, Skye Moore. Yes, another chance for me to talk about Skye Moore and another chance for you to draft him based off of how good he is at the game of football. So coming out as a prospect, he's ridiculous. Skye Moore is super talented. 91st percentile college dominator, 99th percentile collegiate target share. He was 8th in yards per route run last year, 16th in yak, and 1st in missed tackles forced. He is going to be the puzzle piece that this offense missed last year, as Patrick Mahomes, yes, we know he faced a lot of too high safety looks. They needed somebody outside of Tyreek Hill, which I could make a case that Skye Moore is just as good. Maybe not as fast, but just as good as breaking tackles and creating after the catch. They need this element in their passing attack. And you look at who Skye Moore is going up against. Bunch of role players. MBS, for all the camp hype, we know he runs fast. We don't need anybody to tell us that. He's a field stretcher. Juju Smith-Schuster is a slot-only wide receiver. He's a zone beater. That's fine. No issues with that. But Skye Moore is a do-it-all player. He can play on the outside, he can play in the slot, he can break tackles, and we're getting camp reports and watching clips of him getting handoffs out the backfield. Skye Moore is going to be super productive and one of the most obvious calls when we look back at this fantasy season that people should have been higher on. All right, if you want a chance to win a signed Javonte Williams Denver Broncos jersey, courtesy of our friends at Pristine Auction, all you've got to do is subscribe to the FantasyPros YouTube channel right now, comment below on this video, and that's it. We'll be announcing a winner right here on the channel, so make sure you turn in for those notifications to be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Number 5, Drake London, baby. Drake London is being airdropped into the Falcons offense, and I get people have worries about Marcus Mariota. I understand that. That's fine, okay? Marcus Mariota does not have to be the next coming of Matt Ryan to deliver accurate targets for Drake London for him to crush this year. London in college last year, he's used to getting bad targets. Ask him about how he was with Keaton Slovis last year. You want to know about the contested catches? A lot of that was Slovis's problem, not London's. But out of the Slovis shade and onto London's talent, teams knew what was coming at him last year, and USC just kept feeding him the ball. He averaged a ridiculous 14 targets a game, 11 receptions, and 135 receiving yards in his final collegiate season. He was top 12 in yards per route run against man and zone. And if you head over and you look at Matt Harmon's fantastic work with reception perception, 73rd percentile versus man, 93rd versus zone, he can crush and he could challenge Kyle Pitts for the lead on this team in targets in year 1. Number 4, A.J. Brown. Over the last 3 seasons, A.J. Brown has been one of the most efficient receivers in the NFL. He's been 4th, 7th, and 18th in target per route run rate. I mean, outside of last year when we know he was dealing with injuries, before that, this man was 6th and 2nd in fantasy points per target. He has never finished outside the top 7 wide receivers in the NFL in yards per route run in his entire career. He's been 7th, 2nd, and 2nd in yards per route run. Now he's going to walk into a situation where he's going to see a career high in targets, and the sky's the limit for A.J. Brown. I mean, we're look back to 2020. He was the wide receiver 6 with only 106 targets. What can this man do if he gets into the 130 or 140 range? I'll tell you, he can crush everybody's expectations in fantasy football and finish as a top 3 wide receiver this year and be a huge difference maker. Do not let people tell you about the Jalen Hurts shade. A.J. Brown is that dude, and he's going to have a fantastic season. On to number 3, Rashod Bateman. Bateman has been my guy since he hit the NFL field, and we're going to see him fully healthy from the jump, and he is going to crush this year. Last year, he was a top 36 wide receiver in over 50% of his games, despite not having an 80% or higher snap share until week 15. Now again, Rashod Bateman is that true X wide receiver. 85th percentile against zone coverage, 81st against press. We saw Marquise Hollywood-Brown last year draw the 12th highest target share amongst all wide receivers and finishes the wide receiver 21 in fantasy points per game. I don't think it's much contested situations here when we discuss about Bateman's prospect profile and mention that he's a better prospect than Hollywood when he came out. Now, if that's the case, he can surpass Marquise Brown's numbers from last year. So where he's being ranked right now is ridiculously low. And many sites, especially your more casual home leagues, you can get him in the wide receiver 3 range. And that is value you need to be scooping all day, and why he makes the top 3 on this list. Number 2, wide receiver with a huge huge quarterback upgrade this offseason, Courtland Sutton. My colleague Andrew Erickson has been out in the streets telling everybody that Courtland Sutton is going to be this year's Cooper Kupp. I'm going to do you one better. Well, maybe not better, but equivalent. I think Courtland Sutton can be this year's Jamar Chase in the sense that he is going to be targeted down the field early and often by Big Russ, and it's time to ride in Denver, considering we've seen Courtland Sutton already flash alpha upside. You go back to 2019 when he broke out. He was 12th in yards per route run, 13th in targets per route run, and he was on his way to cementing himself as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Then injury struck, then last year coming back from the ACL, bad quarterback play. Those things are in the rear view. Because if you go back again to 2019, Courtland Sutton was 7th in yards per route run when he was targeted 20 plus yards down the field. Last year, he finished 6th in deep targets amongst all wide receivers. You marry that with Russell Wilson, who wants to throw deep balls for days. Courtland Sutton is going to be amazing in fantasy football this year. All right, so the top guy on the list, the head honcho, the number one on this list of the top 10 must-draft wide receivers. It is Michael Pittman season. Michael Pittman gets another quarterback upgrade. Again, we talked about Courtland Sutton. Pittman's in the same boat. Fantastic quarterback upgrade. Matt Ryan is going to pepper him with accurate targets, which Pittman didn't see at all last year from Carson Wentz, unless maybe he was running deep. Pittman has the talent to crush this year. The Colts could be more pass heavy, and that's how I'm projecting them this year, because we saw it in small inklings last year. Weeks 1 through 8, they were 7th at neutral passing rate, and Pittman, over that span, was 12th in targets amongst wide receivers, wide receiver 18 in fantasy points per game. We see more touchdowns this year. We see the volume sustained over the entire season. I mean, the sky's the limit for Pittman. He could be a top 3 wide receiver. We know this because the talent is there, people. He is one of only 4 wide receivers to finish last year top 12 in route win rate against man and zone coverage. Top 20 wide receiver, no matter how you slice this up, in PFF grade, yards per route run, and red zone targets. With the quarterback upgrade this year and a lack of competition for targets, although I do like Paris Campbell and Alec Pierce this year, Michael Pittman can cement himself as one of the league's up-and-coming alpha wide receivers and be one of the best fantasy picks you make all year. Don't sleep on Pittman grabbing this number 1 spot. Enjoy the draft, wizard, and enjoy your fantasy season. It's time to sit here and gobble up wide receivers. Let's go.
Thanks for tuning in to the FantasyPros YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our featured videos. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at FantasyPros, so you can get the latest news and updates to give you the edge you need in your fantasy league.